Fiona.
Hello.
Hello, Miss Fiona.
Miss Fee is here.
I hear her meowing in the background.
She's locked in the room with me.
Oh, baby.
She likes it. She hates those dogs.
I know. I feel her pain. Well,
Welcome, everybody.
welcome to Murder with My Sister,
I'm Marie,
and I'm Lisa, and we are
and we're
here
here to talk murder.
again because it's not like we don't have enough true
Murder?
crime in the streaming in the what do they call it? Cosmos,
Mm,
all of it, but
all of it.
all of it. But you know what? I still listen to all the other podcasts, so
I like hearing everybody's take
mhm,
on, even if I know the story, I'm like, ooh,
mhm.
how are you going to say it?
It's so
What's
funny you say
different?
that because the story that I'm doing today, I was listening to another podcast and I'm like, "I know it." Like, I just looked it up, but I wanna see what you say about it, and then I looked at another one, I'm like, "I know, I wanna see what you say about it," and then I watched a
Mm-hmm.
TV show and I'm like, "I don't know what everybody says about it." So, yeah. So, thanks
Yeah.
everybody for listening. I think at this point, if you've made it this far, um you might like us or you are hoping that we read your hate mail on the cast, and we won't do that.
So I'm torn because
Oh.
I was thinking about this today and I fully expect to get messages and comments because people are, what do they call them? Armchair warriors,
Oh,
where
yeah.
they're just assholes. They got nothing else
Mhm.
to do except like be mean to people, and
It's
they can hide behind their computer screen.
yeah, it's I told you this is my opinion. Hang on, I interrupted you. It's the people who no one has listened to them their whole life, and now they have a platform with which to speak their opinion, and they're like,
Yep.
"Yes." But yeah,
So
go ahead.
my thought is like, do we have like a canned response that just says, please have the day you deserve, or something snarky? Or do we not respond at all? Because some people
Um
tell me, like, they just block them, like, they don't even respond to the stuff, and then other people, I'm like, do you give them the attention by responding even if it is just a snarky canned comment, or
No, I think if it's in ill-intentioned and hurtful, then
just
I don't
malicious?
yeah, I don't need it. Like, I'm 48. I've been listening to mean comments my whole fucking life. I have a pockets full of them. So I don't really need yours, and we were never doing this to, like, be famous or make money. I was just doing
No.
it to spend every Thursday night with my sister
Yeah.
and talk to her about like, force her to talk about all the stuff that I watch all week long.
Yeah.
So, my stance is if you have something constructive, absolutely please tell me because I can't get better if I don't know.
Mhm.
If you're just being hurtful and mean because you're like, "Lisa, your voice is like nails on a chalkboard." Well, I can't
Well, guess
it's
what?
I've had it my
Don't
whole
listen.
life. You're not the first person to say it. Somebody complained at work, and they're like, they mentioned your name by name drop, and I'm like, "Well, just tell them I'm not everybody likes Lisa. Like, I'm not for everyone." So, I've been telling people that my whole life. My personality is not for everyone, but almost everyone I know says that I remind them of somebody, and it's somebody they like.
Oh, that's good.
So, I'm gonna
I
take
feel
that.
I feel like I used to hear, I haven't heard it in a while, but I feel like I used to hear people tell me something like, "You look so familiar."
Mhm.
And I'm like, is there another one? I mean, maybe, you never
We have
know.
doppelgangers. Do you remember in high school, I had that doppelganger? She was the year I think she was the same year as me, so you would have been there, and she had, like, reddish brown hair. I don't know, she was like a transfer in, and everybody's like, "Hey, did you see that new girl? She looks just like you." And I was like, "Oh, she's ugly."
Wa
And I felt that everybody's like, "No, she's not. She's so pretty. She looks just like you." And I'm like,
Oh, no.
"Ooh," like, I thought she was
Was this
so
in high
ugly.
school?
Yes, at Curie.
Oh, I don't think I
Mhm.
remember that.
Yeah, it was
But
tricky.
what about that video you just sent me, and it looked like a person we used to know? I thought you were
Sister,
sending me a picture
sis,
of that
no,
person,
no,
and then I
sis.
opened the full thing, and I was like, "Oh."
If you played it from the beginning, my heart literally sank into my stomach because
'Cause
I was
that
like, "Oh
person
my."
passed away.
That person passed away, and I was like, "Oh my god, did he have a girlfriend that was like, oh my god, I'm
Oh,
so."
you thought it was even an old video or
Yes,
something.
yeah, that's
Oh,
how
that's
it was.
scary.
I know he had gotten healthy and had done
And then
some.
he didn't, and then he
And
did,
then he
yeah.
relapsed. So I was like, maybe he got healthy, and that's literally how he looked when I dated him. That was
Yeah.
I was like, "Holy shit." If I knew his sister still, I would be like, if you wanna look at your brother, please look at this
Yeah.
video." Yeah, it was crazy.
That's
Doppelgangers.
weird.
And you
I
saw the
know.
picture of Uncle Butch's doppelganger, right?
I did. That
Mhm.
was nuts.
The
I
kids
can't
still
even
come
believe
across
that.
that one, and they're like, "Grandpa? Grandpa?" And I'm like,
Sh
"That's right, buddy." Mhm.
That I swear to God, even Aunt Debbie had to have been like, "What in the hell?"
I told you the woman who's like she's like, "You keep staring at us." She's like, "I know you think you know us." And I'm like, "I'm gonna show you my
A
uncle
picture.
because you won't get it unless I show you." And I showed it to her, and she's like, "Holy shit, can I take a picture of your picture?" And I'm like, "Yes, I told you, yes." But, like, Cash went over to him, and he's like, "Grandpa?" And I was like and the guy picked him up, and I'm like, "Hey, man, I mean, we're there. We're there."
And where
So,
was that? Red Lobster or something?
n at the Red Lobster no, it was at Semino's.
Saminos.
Yeah, Semino's Pizza.
That's that was
Mhm.
crazy.
Crazy,
I know.
crazy.
Crazy, crazy.
So, oh, wait, I'm gonna
Hmm.
hang on, I'm gonna refresh
Do you
my
want me to
beer
pause?
before I get started, so I have we're
And
back.
we're back.
I had to just fill up my beer real quick so I can get through this whopper of a story.
Good job.
So, I'm gonna pull it up here,
Mhm.
um, and then oh, look, you're in my little picture. No, you're
I'm
not.
in your picture?
No. No. Alright,
No.
so I'm gonna go ahead and say thank you to the folks at Wikipedia.
Mm.
There was a People Internet article by Sean Newman that I referred to. If you wanna hear a really solid playback of this, the Morbid
Mhm.
podcast has an episode of it covering
I
it
think that's
November.
where I the most recent storytelling of it
Yeah,
that
they
I
did a really
heard
great
was
job.
morbid, yeah.
It's almost like I was like, "Are you friends with the family?" Like, that's how
Right?
detailed. And that was back from November of 2023, and then there was a
Mhm.
YouTube documentary by news station Banfield that had, like, 4 short episodes in it. So,
Mm,
let me set the scene for you,
do
okay?
it. Set it.
I'm gonna rewind it. We're gonna take you back to a much simpler time where people didn't lock their doors and people respected each other, and the year was 1956.
They really shoulda locked their doors even
They
then.
everybody should lock their doors.
Lock the fucking doors.
Um, and it's the end of the year. It's December 28th. So kids are out on break for Christmas. The average bread for a loaf of bread is around 12 cents a loaf.
Shut up.
Gas was 22 cents a gallon.
Oh my god.
And phone services were largely provided by Bell System. This was even before, like,
Mhm.
Graham Bell or whatever. Do you remember that Bell
Ma
phone
Bell.
bill? Yes, that we
Ma
used to
Bell.
get.
Yeah.
Um, so on this particular evening, it was a Friday, December 28th, 1956. It was in
And
the
where
20s.
was this?
We're going back to Chicago, Illinois, baby. 'Cause you fucking forced me to be here, and then I got mad at you for never leaving, and then we were looking for
Mm.
the haunted stories, and I came across
Yeah.
this one, and I was like, "I remember it
Yeah.
because,
I was gonna say, we weren't alive, people, we're not that
no,
old.
it wasn't we weren't alive, but the reason that I remember it is because it is still one of Chicago's most famous cold cases. It is still
Mhm.
unsolved after all these years.
Mhm.
And this is the story of Patricia and Barbara Grimes. They all are referred to largely in articles as the Grimes sisters, but you know what? They have first names. They were sweet, sweet little ladies, and we're going to call them Patricia and Barbara. Actually, Patricia's nickname was Pedey, so she will be referred to as Pedey.
Petey.
So, Patricia and Barbara were 2 of 7 children, and they lived in the um, McKinley Park area. So,
Mm.
again, this is Chicago proper. It's not a suburb.
Mm-mm.
Um, they were out on their spring break or sorry, Christmas break, and they were said to be inseparable. Their sister described them both as very pretty girls. Petey was taller and lanky, and Barbara was more petite, but both very, very sweet girls, very respectable, and they were both said to have been inseparable. Like they were the best of friends for the siblings among them.
How
And
did they spell the nickname Petey?
Petey.
Okay.
Is that how it's pronounced?
I don't know. I'm just
I mean, that's what
asking.
it was in the documentary by her sister,
Yeah.
so
Like, was it P capital D? Like, I was just wondering because
mm.
we have to put a title on the episode. So I just wondered how they spelled it.
Oh, yeah. So, um, one of the other things the girls had in common was that they were both incredible Elvis fans,
Oh,
and
man.
right about this time, Elvis's "Love Me Tender" was showing at the Brighton Park Movie Theater.
Can I
So,
interrupt you?
please.
Let me just tell you,
Yes.
I've looked at pictures
Uh-huh.
of Elvis
Uh-huh.
back when he was in his prime.
He's fucking gorgeous.
I have never, I don't think,
Yeah.
looked upon a
Yeah.
beautiful, I mean,
Yes.
beautiful
Yes.
person. And
Yes.
then he opens his mouth and he's
Fuck.
more beautiful.
Right?
I'm like, "What?
And
How?"
then he dances his hips, and you're just like,
Oh my god.
Put it in me, brother. Just fuck. Okay already. God, I'll take off my
Priscilla,
pants."
we get it. We
That's
get it, girl.
literally, I watch him, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm taking off my pants already, for God's sakes." Like, I'm
Now you
there.
understand why they threw their undergarments on stage at him and
Yeah,
shit. You're
for
like, "There
sure.
it is. Ah, there it is."
I watched the Elvis movie, the
Oh
one
my
of him,
god.
of, like, somebody playing him. It was really good,
Yeah. They
but
did a good job, I
they
think.
did a good job, but then, of course, I went down the rabbit hole of just Googling everything about him, and
Yes.
man, he's just, to your point, a
Gorgeous.
gorgeous fucking guy.
Unbelievable.
Ugh,
I know.
fuck.
Madness.
Alright.
Anyway,
So
continue.
so back in 1956, they were going to see, not for the first time, not for the second time, not for the 10th time, but, like, the 11th time, this
Wow.
movie that they had already seen.
Wow.
And like I said, it was at the Brighton Theater. So for those of you who are familiar with the Chicagoland area, the Brighton
Mhm.
Theater was in Brighton Park.
Mhm.
It was built in 1919, and in the 90s, when I was in high school, it was still playing movies, and it was playing for like dollar movies. Like you could still get popcorn, I think.
Yeah.
I went to see a showing of The Doors there with Val Kilmer. Like, do you remember that
Shut
movie?
up.
That's the one I went to go see, and can I just tell you, like, it's, for by movie theater standards, it was the very classic, like, cartons and, like, old-timey theater movie type,
Yeah.
that just had the screen, and it's a smaller theater, and it did have the balcony on the top,
Yeah.
and there were there were women throwing, like, flashing the screen, and I'm like, at the time, I'm like, "It's not him. What are we doing?"
It's a movie.
But it was just that I think the ambiance got these motherfuckers all riled up. There was a lot of pot in the ad audience. There was maybe some drinking, maybe some, acid. I don't know. All I know is that I left there a changed teenager, and I was with other teenagers. So,
So it says 4223 South Archer.
I was just gonna say, I was just gonna give them the address. I Google imaged it, and there is a vacant lot there today.
Oh.
I don't know why that wouldn't have been considered a historic landmark unless it didn't meet the criteria, but I
Well,
felt like it should have been.
someone has to apply for that. I think they don't just designate it unless somebody asks them to designate it. And if somebody
Oh,
wanted to just sell it and develop the land or something like, then
mhm,
they don't care.
okay. So on this evening, they were doing a double feature. Um So the girls were at home. They had asked their mom if they can go to the movies. Mom was like, you had a little bit of a cough this day. It's really cold out. It's in the 20s. I prefer you didn't." And what do teenagers do? What do we do? It's Friday night. We're on our Christmas break. You were there. I was there. What did we do? Did we leave it alone? Did we say, "Hey, mom, you know what? You just made a really fucking solid point." No.
Mm-mm.
No, we
We kept hounding them
oh my
until they said
god, we
yes.
picked at them until they're like, "Fucking go!" And then we hop, skip, and jump our happy asses right out of the house.
Yep, there it is.
So the girls pestered and then mom said yes. They are actually their mom's name is I don't wanna Loretta Grimes, who is married to Joseph Grimes. So they live in McKinley Park.
Mhm,
So McKinley Park is the next neighborhood over. The girls were gonna
mhm,
take the bus, and it's a quick bus ride. Even though they were taking possibly 2 buses, I Google mapped the distance because there's still a house where their house was. It's only
mhm.
1.7 miles from their
Uh,
front door to, the Brighton Theater, but
1.7 miles at
in
night
20
in
yes,
December. Ooh, that's
it's
a little
cold.
nipply.
It's
Just
cold.
a little.
So they were gonna take the bus. So in
I agree.
1956, our grandma would have been 17.
Oh my god.
Patricia was
Shut
15.
up.
No, Barbara was 15 and Petey was, just shy of her 13th birthday. So
Oh
they
my
would have been
god.
around the same age as
As
our
grandma.
as our grandma who lived in that area. So
Yeah,
unfortunately, she's not here to ask, but there's no way that she wasn't familiar with this, and you'll
the
know why
story
when we
most
talk
likely.
about the search.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so Barbara Jean Grimes was born on May 5th, 1941.
Barbara Jean.
Maybe it's Jeanne, it's Geanne.
No, Jean.
Okay, so Barbara Jean Grimes was
They just
born
spelled it a little
that might have
fancier.
been a popular middle name because our grandma was Shirley Jean.
I know. And
Mhm.
now Aubrey
And now it's Aubrey
is
Jean. Aubrey
Aubrey
Jean.
Jean.
Aubrey Jean, Aubrey Jean. Her sister Patricia Petey, is described as pretty and tall. Kathleen, or her middle name was Kathleen, and she was born on December 31st, 1943. So like I said,
Oh,
Petey was just
no.
a few days shy of her 13th
14th birthday.
13th birthday.
13th.
She was turning 13 because she was 12.
Oh,
And
no.
that's important because as some of the investigation is going, you know how we like to handle things and say, well, maybe the kids took off.
I'm sure they ran away,
And the
and if
mom
you
was
just
like,
give them time, they'll
she
come
was
back.
celebrating her birthday in 3 days. We had a party planned. She didn't go anywhere.
No.
Their parents, Joseph and Loretta Grimes, were married at 17 years old, and they had a rough start going, right? Like we all did on the south side of Chicago. Nobody was rich. And they said that like, oh, they were a poor family. Everybody was poor in that
Everybody was
neighborhood.
poor. Yeah.
So it was the community that we were in, and that's what we all did. We struggled and we got by.
Yeah.
Um, because things started off a little rough, Joseph and Loretta did end up divorcing. So on this night in question, they were already divorced.
Mm.
So I know that some accounts say that Loretta, lived with the guilt that a mom lives with, because the girls wanted to go and she was like, no, no. And then she let them go. And there's no amount of you can't blame yourself that you can say I
You're
I
always gonna blame
it's yeah,
yourself.
there's nothing to do on that one.
I know.
So, the girls had about $2.50, which would have been more than enough money for them to ride the bus, get some popcorn, pay for the movie, and then get home. So the girls were due home by 10 p.m. Some say 12, but, from all accounts I read, it was 10. When they didn't make it, Loretta got a little nervous and she sent their older sister, Teresa, is the one who I saw in the documentary, and their younger brother, Joey, to the bus stop to look for them.
Mm.
This would have been about 11:45, midnight ish. After
What
three,
was their home address?
so their home address was 3634 South Damon Avenue. They were right on Damon.
Oh, wow.
Hmm. So when
Okay.
I Google Maps
Good job. Yeah, maps it.
Maps it, it
Nailed it.
That's exactly right, maps. So it said, like, they would take, like, Archer to Pershing and Pershing over to Damon, and that would have been the quickest route, and I was like, "Oh, fuck, I forgot about Pershing."
Yeah.
So 3 buses came and went, and Petey
I'm
and
on
Barbara did
I
not
can
get
see the
off.
intersection of
Mhm.
Pershing
You sure
and
can.
Archer in my head right now. There was a
Mhm.
fish store there. There was a Do you remember that aquarium store? And it was on, like, the edge of it was on the
Yes.
corner where it was a funny shaped building
Mhm,
because it was
mhm.
built as the corner was, so it was like a skinny, pointy building.
Do you remember when they did that? Those fucking weirdos?
Yeah, they didn't, like, make people they didn't make the land fit the house. They
They
just built the house in the shape of wherever the fuck the lot was,
they
and
fucking
sometimes it was a triangle.
sometimes they totally did. Do you know what's so funny? I can't even imagine walking into a house where it's a point. Like, how does it even lay out? And some of
I don't
them
know.
were, like, barely enough to
Legit.
put a fucking front door.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
Like, you put a chair in the
Mhm.
corner in the point.
So,
That's all that would fit there.
that was it. So, when the buses 3 buses came and went, they went back to the house where Loretta was starting to get highly agitated. She called Joseph, the dad, and he went to pick up the kids, and he's like, "I'm gonna go this way, you're gonna go this way." And obviously, they never found them. Loretta called the police at around 1:30, and to their
Mm.
credit, they did start looking for her right away. It
Even if they just took into account the weather, like, what if these girls like,
Right,
what if someone fell and hurt themselves and they're, like, freezing to death out there?
right, and some accounts say that they had gone in their traditional, like, skirt and bobby socks kinda thing, like, so that's cold.
Dude,
Right.
we did that
Girl,
shit.
oh my god, I used to
Fucking
go to fucking
no nothing on your
Hamline
legs.
with a mini
Mm,
skirt on in fucking January, my legs were pink. I didn't know they were freezing that I was
nope.
slowly freezing to death, like,
I know. So stupid.
so stupid. I was just gonna say we're so stupid. Um,
Now,
so
I'm just fucking cold. I'm like, "I don't
I'm
care.
cold all the time.
I'm wearing all this stuff."
So we gotta start going back to where were they? What did we see? We know that at the movie theater, they ran into friends of theirs. There was a young woman who was in the same class with them. She was there with her younger sister, and she said that she saw Petey and Barbara, and they stayed to the second showing, but she left with her little sister when the first showing was over.
So they watched it again? Like, they watched it more than once in that night, or
You
there
know,
was another
it
show
was
after?
I wanna say it was another show. A double feature was, like,
Okay.
another one of his.
Okay.
It might have just been 2 back to back.
Who knows?
They were fans.
Okay.
Um, there was another young man named Roger Menard who told investigators that he was also at the screening, and he sat right behind them, and very close to that friend. I think their name was Weinert. And according to Menard, he left the theater approximately 1 minute before the sisters, who walked down Archer Avenue a short distance behind him, and he saw a late model green Buick that stopped alongside them. The
Huh.
girls hesitated and then continued walking, and just past 42nd Street with the sisters by, a little bit ahead of him, a black 1949 Mercury, occupied by 2 teenage boys pulled alongside the girls, and they
Hmm.
kinda giggled and then just kept walking in the direction of their home.
Hmm.
So, there were
Hmm.
one of the things about this that's frustrating is that people came up to tell everyone saw them. Between when they went missing on the 28th and when they were found, there are dozens of sightings of them.
After they disappeared or just that
Yes.
night?
No, after they
Oh.
disappeared through for the few weeks after. Now, some of them are very salacious, and I did not put them in here because you know what? We
And they might
know
not have been real. They
we
might have
know
just been, "Oh,
yes.
those are those girls," but they weren't those
Right.
girls.
Looky-loos have a tendency to wanna just be associated with what's going on.
Yeah.
One of the accounts was a classmate who said that she saw the girls and they looked intoxicated. Another one was a restaurant owner who said that she saw the girls in a restaurant with one of the workers there, and again, they looked very intoxicated. So
Hmm.
this caused Loretta a significant amount of anxiety and stress because now her kids are missing and people are just talking shit, which is what people
Yeah.
do, you know?
Yeah.
So the last sighting of them that we think is reputable are two teenage
Mhm.
boys named Ed Lauren and Earl Zastro. And they had told investigators that while they had been driving through McKinley Park around 11:30 PM on December 28th. They saw the sisters on 35th Street, which is on the way home,
Mhm.
and that they had just kind of been giggling and jumping in and out of doorways at each other, and they were seen near Sealy and Damon Avenue. So
Mm.
this would have put Petey and Barbara on the path home and at that approximate location only 2 blocks from their house.
Hmm. Alright.
So all of this is kind of jiving. Um, and then we get into the countless sightings of people that are going, I saw them here, I saw them there, I saw them with sailors, I saw them with guys, I saw them with this. You know what? If you want to see what all those people had to say, you can look it up. It's all out there. I don't think it's important. What is important is that the investigation was one of the largest in the Chicagoland area and one of the most costly. The police put up pictures. They had volunteers looking for them right away. They went and did door to door searches. But unfortunately, because of the time, the era, 1956, it
Mhm.
wasn't until Monday that the the wide broadcast, the large public started to realize that these 2 girls were missing.
Oh.
And one of the things that made everybody very nervous is that a year prior to that, um, uh, hang on, a year prior to that, I don't wanna get it wrong, there were 3 boys that had been gone missing in October of 1955. John Schuessler, Anton Schuessler, and Robert Peterson, they were 13, 11, and 14, and they were discovered in a ditch in Robinson Woods Forest Preserve near the north side. So,
No.
when the girls went missing, 2 girls, they're like, oh god, is it this all over again?"
Yeah.
So everybody jumped into action. We're doing a big, big, big search. The friends are helping out. The teachers are helping out. Everybody is trying to figure out what they can do to get these girls home. Of course, as people are wont to do, someone sent a fake ransom letter to Miss Loretta,
Oh, come
motherfuckers.
on.
Um,
What ransom? They're
they're
poor.
poor, but they're just looking to cash in. The FBI was involved, they helped her with the drop, and it turned out, of course, to be bogus. There was even a news article because some reporter told her, "Do you think your kids ran off to see Elvis?"
Oh,
And that's when
come
she's like, "No, my
on.
kids didn't run off to see Elvis. Petey was turning 13, we had a birthday party planned." She's like, "My kids are missing, they're not running." So there's a video of Elvis himself
Shut up.
saying, if you're seeing this, if you're good Elvis fans, then go home to your mama and stop her from worrying, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing, to help your mama not worry. But I was just
Yeah.
like, so even Elvis is like, go home
They
to your
ran
mom,
away.
girls. No, how about you say, hey, whoever the sick fuck is that took these 2 girls, why don't you fucking return them home?
Well, you remember I told you that story about Metallica, the girl who went missing from their concert?
I saw a disappeared episode on that.
Yeah, and they
Mhm.
put up rewards and,
Mhm.
like, did all the things. They used their powers for good, and
I love it. So, a few weeks are going by and not much is happening. On January 22nd, 1957, there was a little bit of a snowfall in January, as there is in Chicago, and then there was
at
kind of
least how they used to be.
mhm, there was a little rapid thaw, and there was a construction worker named Leonard Prescott who lived out in um, eh, Willow Springs. Sorry.
So this is what I remember about this
Yeah,
was
yeah.
Willow Springs is fucking far, guys.
So
From where these girls
mhm.
disappeared, Willow Springs is a bit of a hike. There
That
ain't no bus that went out
Nope.
there back then.
Nope, and the road that they so he was going to get groceries. He was on this road, no man's road. It was, what's it called? Rural County Road named German Church Road. And it was probably about 200 feet east of County Line Road. Did you know that there's a County Line Road in almost every, like, county?
No.
Do you know it literally means that that's the county line? Did you know that? There's County Line Road over by us that separates
Yeah,
Will County from fucking Grundy County.
yeah.
We can bleep that out if we don't want people to know where we live, but I don't think
That's
and they
fine.
if anybody listening already knows because 'cause they're our friends. So he says his wife sent him to go get some groceries. He's like, "I wasn't in any hurry. It's not like it's a big deal, I was just running down the street." And he saw, on the side of a road in what was called, Devil's fuck, I can't find it. I took it out because it scared me. Devil's Falls. Look
Devils.
it up, sis, where they were found, but it was in a ditch, um, and it wasn't very far. Devil's Creek, sorry, Devil's Creek. Like, why? Why did you name it Devil's Creek? Um, so he went to the grocery store, came back, and he saw it again, and he said that it just rubbed him the wrong way. He's like, "I thought it was a mannequin,
I
but it."
remember that, and I, like,
Yeah.
hear Karen and Georgia screaming in my head,
It's
"It's not
never
a
a mannequin.
mannequin!"
So he went home to get his wife, which
Ugh.
is so interesting. Like the big burly guy's like, I'm gonna go tell my wife because he's probably like, she's gonna talk me out of this. She's gonna be like, oh, Leonard, you old crazy. Just sit down. Well, she's like, nope,
Don't
let's
be
go see
ridiculous.
because there's two girls missing. So off they go. They get to the bridge and what they see sends her into shock. She screams. She falls to her knees. The girls' bodies were laying flat on a section of the snow covered ground directly behind the guardrail, right off the side of the road. It was, sis, I don't want to say this because I'm not a fan of crime scene photos, but they did have them online.
Oh, no.
It, there's no way those girls wouldn't have. I mean, the road was never used, but they had to have been covered by snow. They were right on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Um, so they went back up, they ran to the police station.
To that effect, though, that area at
Yeah,
that
yeah.
time frame, that was probably dirt roads. That was probably country.
Well,
Like, there was no traffic through there and that sort of stuff, not like today.
if you open our Gmail, I sent you pictures.
Oh, you did?
I did.
I don't wanna see crime scene
No, no, no.
pictures.
I'll tell you what one. That's the house. All right. So it says Grime B. Nope, don't look at that one. Oh, I didn't send it. There was one I
Okay, good.
took of oh, no, I didn't take it. It was I couldn't screenshot it because it was a clip of the video.
Mm,
Um, they went back, they called the police, they went to the police station. It was only a little bit of ways. They tell the guy, "This is what we found." He comes back. I don't even know how long it could have taken. It had to be within hours.
mhm.
Sis, I am not kidding you. The video that I saw, there had to be 100 cars,
Shut
hundreds of
up.
people that were just standing around. They were holding up evidence, and I was just like, "Oh my god, those girls were laying there, and there are fucking men all over the place. Like, somebody cover them up. Somebody get them away from them. Somebody make
Oh,
this better.
no.
Like, this horrible, horrible thing." And they're just all over the place.
Did you ever have you've heard of the, oh god, Visalia
That sounds familiar.
something axe murders? There
Yes.
was a house,
Yes.
right? And I think more so is in, like, paranormal crap and stuff, like, people
Mhm.
go there to, like, hear the ghosts because of the murder that happened there and all that shit. I
Mhm.
don't know if this is the same one. There's probably people screaming in their heads right now, but I don't remember if it was that story or if it was a different house, but there was a family murdered, like, in the olden days,
Mhm.
and they actually had people in the neighborhood who had to see it walking through the house, and they had the cake that the family had baked
With the raisins
sitting
in
on the
it?
table. Yes, with the
Yes.
raisins. Like,
Yes.
people they like
I
to say, like, true crime is something new.
No,
Uh-uh.
no,
People have
no.
been mm,
Mm. We
mm,
both say our heads are both bobbing like motherfuckers right now.
mm. Saying.
So,
Just saying.
on top of all of this, we say to ourselves, detectives, I think somebody should get this kid's father out here to identify these bodies. So
His to come look at his children laying in the dirt?
so off they go to retrieve Joseph Grimes, who was
Ugh.
driven to the crime scene in front of all of these men
No, no.
to identify the bodies, nude,
I was gonna
beaten,
say they had no clothes.
bloodied bodies, they weren't bloodied, of his daughters. Because that just sounds like the right thing to do. I mean, they've been missing for 3 weeks now, almost a month. "Hey, Dad, why don't you come out here and let us know if these are your girls?" There are pictures of them. Put no. Secure
My
that
sister
get
just in case you were wondering, she had a seizure just now.
just get just get all 100 of those cars off the fucking road. You tell
Mhm.
all those looky-loo fucking motherfuckers
To
to
go
just
home.
get back. Somebody cover them up and then say, "Okay, is there anything that we can do here now that all of you have smoked 600 cigarettes, flicked the butts, spit on the ground, and walked all over the place? No? Okay, let's get them out of here." But no. So so after
Okay.
they identify them, um, there were over 160 police officers from surrounding police departments, volunteers, forest preserves, you name it, that went to do a search of the area for anything that they could find, any evidence. Needless to say, they did
Okay.
not find anything and they just trampled on everything.
Yeah, for sure.
So the search itself was later criticized due to the lack of organizing and untrained individuals that trampled over any evidence that could have been at the location. I mean, they just stepped all over it. The autopsies were performed a couple days later. The girls were out in the frigid cold weather, so they needed time to get back to autopsy stage. They were performed by three experienced forensic pathologists. After a 5-hour examination of each body, they were unable to agree on a cause of death. So one expert, and they were all reputable, experienced, like quality forensic pathologists, but this is 1956. So one determined that the stomach contents contained the appropriate portions of the last known meal and what they would have eaten on December 28th. So they had most likely died within hours of when they were last seen at the Brighton Theater. That was his. But his cause of death in each case was ruled as being a combination of shock and exposure. So he's saying that they were left out there and that's what the um, cause of death is. He is saying there was no obvious fatal wound injuries on either girl's body. Toxicology reports revealed that neither girl had been drunk, drugged, or poisoned. But what he didn't mention were the stab wounds that were on one of them, the obvious signs of blunt force trauma. So let's talk about the next one. No items of clothing were found for either girl. The autopsies would discover that Barbara had likely engaged in sexual activity, either consensually or unconsensually at the time of her death, but they can't find forcible molestation. Her official death certificate listed her cause of death as secondary exposure or shock. Patricia,
Huh.
hers would also be classified as murder, but the specific means in which they were listed as cause of death were secondary shock. Both girls were beaten. Both girls were raped. It was decided at the time that to save the family and the girls any, um, trauma and any what was the phrase that I heard them use? To protect their reputation and their, innocence, they were not gonna mention that the girls were raped. 100%. Can you
Huh.
imagine living in a time where I'm raped and now you get to judge me and say that I'm a like, "Fuck you, motherfuckers." I was watching a documentary on a serial killer in Help Me, Ireland, I think it was, and he was killing all these women, and the police are like, "We're putting a curfew. All women must be in their houses by 8 o'clock." And the women are like, "What the fuck? Why don't you put the fucking curfew on the men? They're the ones that are fucking killing us. Why the fuck are we being grounded?" And I was like, "Yeah, why are we being grounded?" Mhm.
Yeah.
So, um,
Yeah.
one of the coroners that performed the autopsies, Walter McCarran, surmised that the girls had laid on German Church Road for many days before eventual discovery. He said that given the condition of the time interval between their disappearance and the discovery, and due to the frigid temperatures in the weeks prior to the 22nd, adding that this is due to recent snowfalls and frigid climate, he thought the bodies had laid undiscovered for more than 3 weeks because the snow had blanketed them. So again, he's saying they were they
Oh,
were taken, they were murdered, raped, murdered, and dumped there, and, there were some reports that there were lots of leaves and stuff kinda haphazardly thrown
oh,
over them. Um, Despite the varying conclusions that there were, some of them, they're like, there were no signs of trauma to the body, so they were naked, they were stabbed, they were sexually assaulted, they were beaten, but the cause of death was secondary shock. No, that's yeah, let's it's only yeah, no, this is fucking ridiculous. So despite official conclusions, the chief investigator for the Cook County Coroner's Office, Harry Gloss, disagreed with the official time of death, later stating that to the media there had been numerous marks of violence on the girls' faces. Um Strongly indicative of their being the recipient of violence as opposed to postmortem rodent infestation. He also contended that the thin layer of ice found encrusted on them indicated that they had been alive until at least January 7th, since that was the date that there was sufficient snowfall, and their body heat would have created this layer of ice. Gloss also contended that their bodies had been warm when they were dumped, and that they had been subject to sexual assaults throughout the period of captivity, adding that there was that Petey had been sexually assaulted as well. So he's saying they were kept for about a week. He said the contents in their stomachs had been a little different than what they would have eaten on the 28th. And it's all these different opinions. And I'm sure everybody meant well, question mark? It's one of those things where I agree sometimes when you withhold specific evidence, like, if you think that that's gonna help you get a conviction, that's great. If you don't catch anybody, that's useless. So you have to give enough to catch them, but not enough that you can't convict them. And you know what? That's not my fucking job to say what it is. That's somebody who has a detective degree. You have a detective degree. You went to detective school. You graduated with honors from Detection Academy. You tell me what you can release and what you can still get a conviction
hmm.
of, and I'll say, "Okay." So, in our suspect pool, we have Edward Lee Benny Bedwell. He was a 21-year-old from Tennessee. He was tall, and allegedly had a resemblance to Mr. Presley. He was actually formally charged with the murders of Petey and Barbara on January 27th, 1957. So, very quickly after they were found, because they were found on January 22nd. Edward Benny Bedwell was also known to be challenged, mentally challenged. He was challenged. So there is allegedly that he signed a 14-page confession, um, that he said him and an old acquaintance, William Cole, had picked up the girls, and after several days of the girls being willing company, they had just decided that they
Mm.
were gonna refuse their sexual advances, and the boys beat them and threw their nude bodies out of the car as, like, a joke, and they didn't really have anything to do with them lying.
5 days later, they
Mhm.
have someone in custody that they couldn't figure out
Yes,
for a whole
and
month?
then so it was noted that, Mr. Bedwell recanted his statement, saying that investigators, had him in custody for days, and subsequently, they had coerced that confession out of him. There is, a coroner's what is it called? Where Loretta Grimes was reported to have sat with Benny's mom and, kinda put her arm around him, and she said, "Don't worry, I know he didn't do it." So she didn't believe that either. Autopsy supported that Bedwell did not do it, and then he also had been on clock at the Ajax company at the time of their disappearance until, like, December 29th, so he had an alibi, like, it was just fucked up. So he was just a little mentally challenged. Another suspect was a young man by the name
Inquest?
of Max
Mm,
Fleeg, who was a 17-year-old suspect, initially considered a prime suspect, but due to his age, he was protected by contemporary Illinois laws that prevented juveniles from subjection to polygraph tests. Now we know polygraph tests are not really accurate. Today, it was basically like, "Give me your hand," and then you put your thumb on the inside of their hand, and they're like, "Look at my face. Look at my face. Answer this question for me." Like that's what I feel like a polygraph in 1956 would have been. So there's some talk that Fleeg agreed to an unofficial polygraph where he did confess to the murders, but with no legal means and no evidence, police were forced to release him without charge. In addition, the police were unable to charge him with the murder due to there being lack of physical evidence. So they got nothing. Um, Fleeg was later jailed for the unrelated murder of another young woman. Then we have Joseph Lohman. He unfortunately died in 1969, and at the time of his death, he was a dean at the School of Criminology in Berkeley. So he was like working on that belief that there are sexual predators out there.
hmm,
Even before this, who did this for pleasure, and people are like, "Oh, that crazy old bastard." In 2013, a retired Chicago police officer named Raymond Johnson began his own investigation. He was considered by many to be an expert on this case, and he became interested, when he was researching a book he'd been writing about the city's history. His conviction that the case is still a solvable one, but only with the help of the public, because he believes the perpetrator of this crime had been a 23-year-old self-confessed child killer named Charles Leroy Melquist, who had been considered a suspect in the sisters' abduction and murder in
ugh,
1957. Melquist was convicted of the September 1958 murder of a 15-year-old girl named Bonnie Lee Scott, who he did know before the murders, whose decapitated body had been found 2 months after her disappearance, less than
mm,
10 miles from where the Grimes sisters' bodies had been found. Following the discovery of Scott's body, investigators noted similarities in the murder and the body disposal, of that of Patricia and Pedey. But Melquist was never questioned, and his potential culpabilities in the murders, his attorney was like, he's forbidden him to any questioning. So this is important because the day after Bonnie Lee Scott was discovered, this is the girl who was murdered, Loretta Grimes received a phone call from an individual who claimed responsibility for Scott's murder. So somebody called and said that they murdered this girl. On this occasion, the caller stated, "I've committed another perfect crime. This is another one the cops won't solve, and they're not going to fix or blame on Bedwell." Loretta would remain adamant until her death that this caller had been the same individual who contacted her earlier in 1957, to reveal the deformity upon which her daughter's feet had been never been released to public. So I guess something was wrong with her one of her daughter's feet. Um, and she said she'll never forget that voice. But Loretta also maintains that they were taken by somebody they knew. So this man, this Melquist knew
Mhm.
the girl, Bonnie Lee Scott, that he murdered, but the fact that he called Loretta twice, and she insists that it was the same, and you know what? You know what? I will take her fucking word for it over any of the other fucking sightings of anything that ever happened, so whatever. Um Charles Melquist, though, was never charged with this involvement in the deaths of, Petey and Barbara, and he died in 2010, so, unfortunately, we'll never know, and that is the
Mm.
horrible, god awful case of Barbara and Patricia Petey Grimes, who never had a chance to grow up and meet Elvis in person or go to Graceland.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome for that.
That was a crazy story.
It was. It was crazy because it took place so long ago, but
Yeah.
so many of the people in that story had been around to give
Mhm.
interviews that I
I
was
think
able to
it's
look up.
I think that's the weird part about it is like when I think about that story, I think of it as like olden days,
For sure.
but
But
a lot of the people were still alive
mhm.
when all of these interviews happened and then like the guy dies
Mhm.
in 2010. I was like, dude, that was
Yes.
just like yesterday.
Yes, her sister, one of the sisters was still alive to give that
Oh.
interview. No, I mean, I think that might have been going back to like the 80s or 90s, but
It
it
still
was,
feels like
it still, for,
current
I mean,
day.
for us, it's current
I
day
know.
because I can't believe that that was that long ago, but it was one of those things where it was a different time,
Mhm.
crime was done and evidence was collected or just trampled all over.
I feel like there wasn't
So
evidence like there I feel like I don't know. I don't know I don't
there
know how they solved anything back then.
There, I don't either. And there's another story that is going to come from this one that we'll talk about sometime, and that is the murder of the Schussler boys.
Yeah, cuz you mentioned them.
I
Yeah, I
did,
think that's a good
and
one.
yeah, we're definitely going to talk about that. I just needed to take a minute. Like, I can't keep talking about child murders. It's just very hard.
We all have our interests. I feel like I like the I don't know, they called it like the golden age of serial killers. Like I
Mhm.
like to hear
Mhm.
about the stories from the 70s and the 80s where it was good old fashioned detective work that solved
Yeah.
them because there
Yeah.
wasn't any
There
technology
wasn't a
to
yeah.
solve them.
And so now that's funny because they did say they have the technology now. They the last interview that I saw was from a detective who had said they can do more DNA testing.
Mhm.
They think they can exhume the girls and scrape
Ooh.
under their fingernails and get evidence only because
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
back then that kind of like
Uh-uh.
right? It wasn't done where he's like,
No.
we might still, but they're not doing it until they have the right circumstances,
Yeah,
the
that
right
makes sense.
technology, the
Mhm.
right. He's like, if we're gonna disrupt those graves, if we're going to bring those girls up, it is gonna be right circumstances, right evidence, right technology, right people,
Mhm.
right time. Like everything's gonna be perfect.
I think
That's how that's gonna go.
someday, I
Yeah.
think that's good. I think someday when we're like rich and trying to figure out where we want to be philanthropic and create like some sort of nonprofit to help with these things, I think it'd be pretty cool to like start testing old cold cases and
Mhm.
using that money to use like old, you know, clothing or whatever to see if we can maybe close some of those cases.
I love that you're manifesting for us richness.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
yeah.
I love. So, yeah, so that was my story. It's important because it's still unsolved. It's
Yeah,
important because they still have family, and it's
yeah.
important because it is solvable.
I think
So,
so. I
I'm
agree.
going to leave you with that.
So I'm going to say don't park next to vans and maybe don't get in a car with anybody you don't know.
never,
Or,
never
you know
get
what?
in
Fuck
those.
that. Don't get in a car with anybody you
No,
do know.
don't get. I mean, well, we're not victim blaming, but don't just beat up everyone. Just punch them in the face.
Yes,
Punch them. Punch first. Ask questions later.
I
Punch.
agree.
I mean, no, but don't. But yes, but do.
Yeah, but do. But do.
Yeah, but don't but
Mm-hmm.
do.
I do.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. Come on, George. Let's go.
Bye.
Bye.
Mixed and edited by me, Marie Abenante, parentheses, sort of professionally, end of parentheses. Executive produced by my sister, Lisa Linsner, and me, Marie Abenante.
Music by John Bartman, track City Girls. Cover art by our beautiful and talented niece, Alexis Marie Guerrero.
And we did all of this on our platform called Riverside, which is very user-friendly and lovely, and I hope it sounds good and looks good, and Riverside, forgive us for embarrassing you.
And thank you.
And thank you.